Hi, welcome. My name is Raquel Hinojosa and I am the gallery director at Innovations Art Gallery. I was born here in the Valley in a tiny little town called Roma. It's Roma, Texas. It's a border town. I actually moved to Roma or back to Roma when I was 9 years old. I was born in Roma, but I grew up in the town across from Roma in Mexico in Ciudad Miguel Alemán. So my first language was Spanish, and then we moved back to Roma when I was about 9 years old. So I am from the Valley. I've been here all my life. My father was my number one supporter. When I was about 11 years old, I started drawing. I was drawing like everybody was drawing, just stick figures, stick people, and then one day I just was drawing better than usual, and it so happened that my aunt, who lived in Mexico, said there were some teachers coming to teach art. This little girl needs to come and take some art lessons. And so I did, and my dad would just boast about me left and right. My daughter's an artist, she could draw a picture for you, do a painting. And I'm like, Dad, I'm only 11. But he was always my number one supporter, yes. Mexico is just so full of culture. We celebrated different holidays than we did here in the US, and which now we celebrate, like Day of the Dead. We celebrate Dia de los Muertos in Mexico. We grew up learning to do a lot of crafts. I got to go to kinder and first grade in Mexico. So we learned a lot of crafts. I performed in a lot of plays, did a lot of musicals. And so that culture was just very inspiring to me, I believe. That is one of the reasons why I decided to follow that path, the art. Inspiration comes from everything. From whenever I need to feel re-energized, I want to go to a museum or I want to go to a nature center. We teach art in the studio, in the gallery, and looking at the kids' artwork and the way they're just so free and carefree when they produce their artwork, that mega inspires me. I moved back from Austin to McAllen in 94 due to some family setbacks that happened. I needed to move back to my parents, and that was okay. I love the Valley. And when I moved here, I was able to find a job working at our local museum, at the International Museum of Art and Science. I started a job there as an outreach assistant. So that required for me to create marketing packets for children's exhibits. A children's exhibit is an exhibit that children can handle, as opposed to art. You cannot touch art, but there are modules and exhibits that kids can handle. And so the museum had several of those exhibits, and my job was to do the marketing for them and get the schools to get them, to rent them, and then I would go set up and serve it to the kids. So that was a dream job for me, getting a job with a museum, which is the path that I had wanted to take as I was studying art in college. Then there was an opportunity for me to teach art classes at IMAS, the International Museum of Art and Science. That's IMAS, short for that. And there was a lack of art instructors. Artists want to create artwork. They very seldom want to teach art. It's very different. Sammy, you have the same color both on top and bottom. You need to make one color darker. And soft and broken. These are hard pastels. They never clean. Anything white is going to have a little bit of grain. If you blend it, you can always go back and put it over it. And so then the Heritage approached us about having this exhibit with them. And my part of the exhibit was called Pollinators, which highlighted a lot of bees. And how did the bees come about? Yes, it's a funny story. So we have this art gallery here in McAllen where we teach art classes. And every year we highlight our students' work by having an exhibit for them in May. Our art program runs from September to May. So in May we have an exhibit for them. And a day before the opening, we noticed there was an excessive amount of bees right by our door. The IMAS, the museum, I know I keep mentioning them, donated or gifted us a dinosaur, which we hadn't completely set up, and its stomach was gutted. And the bees decided to cool off inside the dinosaur stomach. And I went into a panic mode because I knew my students would go in and out of the door and I didn't want anybody being stung. So we made phone calls and found a beekeeper. And so she came over and took him back to her place. And before she left, after she had captured all of them, she told us a story. We have more than or close to 4,000 species of bees in the United States alone, and how important they are to us. Of course, I knew that, but I didn't know to how important they were to us. They pollinate. They do so much more than what I'm sharing with you. And so then I decided that would be my next project, that I would try to do as many bees as I could, and then just talk about the bees. And so the first time I got to talk about the bees was at the Heritage. They asked us to do a mini art talk, and I said, "Don't kill the bees. Please love the bees. They're our friends." And I told them the story, and I told them how I plant a lot of plants, and every day in the morning I fill up buckets with water so they can rest and drink water. And right now I'm growing about 100 seeds, and all of them are butterfly and bug friendly. I set goals. When I started the studio, one of my goals was to build my student base. And so I said, well, I'm going to dedicate maybe 2 years to building my quota of students, right? How many do I need to create an income, a sustainable income? And when that was done, I said, okay, well, now I'm going to dedicate the next 2 years to just promoting the artists in the RGB and building the art community in the gallery, make it strong. And it was really strong. COVID happened. But we're getting back to the art exhibits. As everybody's been waiting, itching to exhibiting, so that's pretty strong. And so now my goal is to maybe create more of my art, because whenever I'm promoting the art program or the art community, my personal artwork is in pause. And so I've been in pause. And so meeting the beekeeper or having that bee confrontation or bee scene or bee experience has inspired me. And so I'm back to painting. So I've painted so much in the last 3 months. I'm so excited about it. And I feel really strong about my topic and what I'm creating. And so for the next 2 years is going to be just working on what I want to produce, what I want to say with my work.